Hi, everyone. I just want to thank you all for hopping on. My name is Meredith Marshall. I'm the marketing coordinator here at Blue Tent, and I'm sitting with Reagan Hain, who is the social media expert, and she'll be presenting Why Pinterest today, and also Julie Whipple, who's the director of marketing. And we'll hop in a little bit, but I wanted to first just talk about a little background about our webinars. We actually try to host them monthly, and the content changes every month, and we like to kind of touch on everything, cover every topic in digital marketing. And actually, at the end of this webinar, we'd like to send a survey, so we would love any feedback and any comments about what you guys would love to hear next. And just another reminder, too, the webinar today is actually 30 minutes, so I know you guys are all super busy, and it's really awesome that you were able to join us today, and we'll try to keep it short and sweet for you guys. And I do see a few of our clients that are on today, but some new names also, which is awesome. So I want to give you guys a little background on Blue Tent.
I'm having a little trouble with the audio, so I'm just going to scooch this up a bit.
Okay, so we're a digital agency that's located in Colorado, and we focus on motivating travelers and creating conversions.
I think if you click on that, yeah.
Okay, and so we also have an e-commerce platform called ResFusion. This platform will actually generate 170 million in online reservations by the end of 2016. And we actually work with 80 amazing travel destinations, and we work in 9 different countries, and we have 50 people on the team.
I think maybe if you just go, one of those buttons probably.
And then for today, if you look on your go-to webinar or your go-to meeting, you can see that there's a place where you can ask questions. So feel free to do that anytime during the webinar, and they're completely anonymous, so no one will know who's asking what. It just comes into my computer, and I can bring them up throughout the webinar, or if it works better, we can just set up a time afterwards to meet with you and talk about any questions or concerns, or get started with a little social stuff for you guys. So that's kind of a little background and kind of prep for the webinar. And now I think I'll just hand it over to Reagan.
Thanks,
Reagan, sorry, I'm gonna try to figure out.
I think presenter view is probably what we want.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I just have trouble with this. Okay, so like Meredith said, today's webinar is the third in a series of social media webinars that we have been hosting. The first one was kind of a high-level overview of why social media is valuable, and the second was a more in-depth look at Facebook specifically. And today's webinar is going to look more into Pinterest and how Pinterest can be a valuable marketing tool for travel brands. And if you want to see any of those first 2 webinars, they are available on our Vimeo page, and the link to that is on the Blue Tent website. So feel free to check those out if you would like. So, are you seeing that navigation bar?
Yeah.
1 second. Is that still
funny that?
Can you minimize the go-to?
Mm-hmm. Sorry about this. 1 second. We've obviously never used this before.
It's just always different every time.
I think it's working now.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
No? Oh, okay. Well, I think we'll just leave that there.
Here,
Can you see anything?
Okay. Here, you can keep going.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about, social media as a whole first. So if you've seen our previous webinars, you've seen this before, but, social media is something that I think a lot of our clients, you have a limited marketing budget, and social media is probably your last priority. It's kind of a luxury item, or it has been for the past 2 years. So a lot of our clients are hesitant to start devoting more of their resources to social media. And we totally understand that. And that's why we want to be a valuable resource to you and help you make the most of your social media presence. Where social media used to be, optional, something that not every business was active on, but that's no longer the case. And social media has really become, it's a platform that every major business is on. All of your competitors are on it, and your audience is on it too. So it's important that you are making the most of that and using social media as a marketing platform. One thing that sets social media apart from other marketing channels is that it really helps you build an authentic emotional connection with your audience. You're building a relationship with your leads and your potential leads. And that's not something you can accomplish with, TV commercials or print ads or email newsletters or, search engine listings. So social media is really unique, and it's important to incorporate it into your marketing strategy. So you may be wondering, what's so special about Pinterest? Why should I think about Pinterest? Pinterest is really unique also from other social media channels in that it's really suited to the travel industry, because it's a place where users can go to, to imagine their ideal vacations. It's kind of a digital scrapbook where people can, search for things that are interesting and informative, and really curate the kind of life that they want to have. So, right now Meredith is planning her honeymoon to Cabo, and she's been searching on Pinterest to find, activities she can do and, different hotels, things like that. So Pinterest is really great for the travel industry.
And I pin like crazy. When anything's coming up, I get so excited, and it's like you can actually like see yourself going to these places and like, oh, that beach looks so neat. Like, of course we need to pin this and go there.
Yeah, and Pinterest is a visual platform, and I know all of you know images are really powerful. Images are processed 60,000 times faster by the human brain, so more than text. So they're really powerful, and it's a really powerful way to communicate with your audience. So Pinterest is also, it's growing really rapidly. They just announced that they reached 1.5 million monthly active users in October. So that's huge. That's a huge audience of people that you should be reaching. And Pinterest users are primarily female. I think the breakdown is about 71% female, 21% male. And as we all know, a lot of the travel decisions are made by, the mothers and the grandmothers. They're booking the vacation rentals and searching for family-friendly activities. So Pinterest is a great tool to reach those decision makers. Pinterest also, unlike some social media platforms, includes all different age ranges. So, whereas Twitter or Snapchat and Instagram have a heavily young demographic, Pinterest users are all ages. About 28% are between the ages of 30 and 49, 27% are between 50 and 64, and 17% are above 65. So that's a huge chunk of people that are within the age group that our clients, want to target. And then lastly, the average amount of time that users spend on Pinterest is about 15 minutes per session and 21 minutes per day. So that's a lot of time that people are spending browsing for travel information. So I mentioned Pinterest is growing really rapidly. It's growing faster than Facebook, faster than LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all of the other social media platforms. Pinterest is growing faster. So there's a lot of potential for your audience to grow on Pinterest and for your content to reach those people. And Pinterest has the second most social media traffic referrals to your website behind Facebook. And then one of the unique things about Pinterest also is the lifespan of the content that you're posting. I'm sure you're all aware Facebook's newsfeed is, it's chronological, but they also have an algorithm that ranks your content, and it disappears after a day. You won't be able to find it again because of the way their algorithm works. And Pinterest is similar, but your pins last for about 3 to 6 months. So if you look at this graph that we have up here, the half-life is about 3.5 months, which means that half of your half of your views and interactions with your pins happen after 3.5 months. So, that means that something you post now will still be seen and interacted with in 6 months by users. So that's really valuable, and that means that you can get a lot more bang for your buck out of Pinterest than some other platforms. So I wanted to touch on a few of our client case studies and show you how our clients have been successful with Pinterest recently. So these are a few pins from our client Emerald Isle Realty. They are on Emerald Isle in the Southern Outer Banks region, and we've been working with them on Pinterest for a while and creating a lot of different content that links back to their website, to their blog posts, and it's been really fun to create these kind of collages for Pinterest. So these are just a few visuals. So Emerald Isle, they do organic posting, and they also do promoted pins. So for an ad budget of about $50 over the past few months, they've generated about 9,000 impressions and 196 engagements. And engagements includes clicks, saves, close-ups, repins, which are all of the kind of engagements that you want to generate off of Pinterest. So from their organic and promoted pins, they generated about 2,000 sessions on their website, and 53% of those sessions were from new users, which I'll touch on later, but that's one of the really important factors, or one of the important values that Pinterest has, is that it generates new traffic. You're reaching new people and generating new leads in a way that you can't on other social platforms. Another client is Rainbow Riders. They are also doing promoted pins, and their ad budget was about $100. And from that, they generated 18,000 impressions and 376 engagements. And they are a hot air balloon company, I should have specified. So their content focuses on, bucket list searchers or people looking for romantic getaways or, something adventurous and fun in the 3 locations that they have.
And I love all the photos that are on all these sides. They're just, you can really relate to these people, just showing their real experience and stuff like that. You're really building a relationship with your viewers.
Yeah, this kind of content everyone can relate to. Everyone loves traveling. Everyone loves new experiences. So that's the kind of stuff people look for on Pinterest. So the next one is VIP Vacation Rentals. They are a vacation rental company in Sanibel Island, Florida, and they have been experimenting with promoted pins as well. And we just started with a small budget of $30, but even that small budget drove 4,000 impressions and 108 engagements. And they also link this back to their, their blog posts, the different activity pages they have on their website, and driving that kind of traffic back to their website has been really, really beneficial. So next I want to talk about some Pinterest best practices, which is probably what you all want to hear. So I reference this diagram a lot because I think it's funny, but it's also helpful. This kind of breaks down the differences between the different social networks, which is really important because not all those social platforms have different functions, and you should recognize that and use them differently. So you don't want to post the same kind of content on Twitter as you would on Pinterest. So, you can see here, Pinterest says, here's a good recipe of a donut. So that's kind of how you should think about it. It's informative and informational and interesting, whereas Facebook is more about identity and community. Pinterest is more about sharing information and inspiring people. So to break that down a little more, on Facebook, your goal might be to reach your current clients, your current leads, build a relationship with those people, provide customer service, and share information about the guest experience. And Facebook is really about community and building relationships. Pinterest is a little different. Because of the way Pinterest is set up, your goal isn't necessarily to build a lasting relationship with your users. It's more about reaching new leads. You might want to encourage getting followers on Facebook, but on Pinterest, even though there is that option, it's not necessarily as valuable because you want to reach new people and you want to be found in the search engine that Pinterest is. So the goal of Pinterest is to drive traffic to your website. You want to reach new leads, reach your target audience, drive traffic to your website, share information about the guest experience, and of course, drive brand awareness. So you should keep that in mind when you're creating your content and sharing, so that you're accomplishing your goals.
The one other thing about reaching new leads is that you can also stay in front of past guests, so that that they might engage with your brand a little bit more. They might share your pins, or they'll expose their audience to your pins if you engage with past guests as well. So it's kind of neat to stay in front and be on the forefront when past guests are planning their vacations as well.
Yeah, and what's really cool about Pinterest is even, you might not have a lot of followers or something like that, but, say if I went there and I stayed and, I have 300 followers, if I pin one of something that I saw of yours that I really liked, my followers are all going to see that, and it's all going to come up on their feed. Like right when I open Pinterest, I see like a couple of my friends, I see anything recent that other people that I know have been doing, and it's almost like that I trust. If I follow one of my friends, I trust like their pins almost. Like I trust their opinion, like, oh, that must be a really cool place if she went there and she's pinning like some cool stuff to do there. So it's kind of a cool spider web of a way to reach different people.
Yeah, that's a good point. Word of mouth, I think, that's probably the best way to market yourself. People trust word of mouth a little bit more. That's a good point. The goal isn't to reach current clients, but you shouldn't neglect that either. I should have mentioned that. That allows you to reach new leads by reaching people who are your current clients and your current guests. So that's important too. So, to begin, this is really basic, but I think it's important to mention, you should always start with making your profile as clean and organized and professional as possible. So first thing, you want to make sure your profile is actually a business account rather than a personal account. I think that's something Pinterest released later after, they first came out. So a lot of business profiles that were created many years ago haven't been upgraded. So that's important to make sure you do. That allows you to access analytics and create ads that personal accounts don't have. And it allows you to confirm your website so that whenever another user shares a pin from your website or links back to your website, you can see analytics about that link. So that's important to do. And then make sure that your profile image is your logo. I think some people use a photo of a property for their image, or a lifestyle photo, but you really want to make your profile image easily recognizable and reinforce your brand. So I would just say, always make sure you're using your logo for your Facebook or Pinterest or Twitter profile photo. And then include a short biography section in your Pinterest profile, and include your link there too, so that people can reference that. And always make sure you have a substantial amount of boards. That should be at least about 10, and you can do many more. I wouldn't have too many, just so that you're focusing on the important content, but 10 is definitely the minimum, so your page looks fleshed out and you have a lot of content there. And then for your board names, make sure that they're really clear and easy to identify so that your users know what each board is about. So you can see here, VIP has their vacation homes board. They have restaurants on Sanibel Island, activities on Sanibel Island. So that's really easy to identify what those boards are about. And you can customize your cover photos for each board. And if you don't, it will just populate the most recent photo there. And you want to make sure that your page looks really clean and high quality photos. So just customize those cover photos. And then the last thing is make sure your most relevant board is at the top of your page. So you can see we put vacation homes at the top clearly, and then the most engaging content next to that. So you can rearrange your boards and make sure that's the optimal placement. So the next thing is make sure your pins, the content that you're sharing, is either informative or inspiring, or both. So like we said, Pinterest is a place where people go to find content that's informative or inspiring, so you should be sharing that kind of content. And, when you are personally searching on Pinterest for, in your free time outside of work, you might find things like recipes or lists or, inspiring travel photos. So keep that in mind, and you should be sharing that kind of information and content on your page. And it's important to share a mix of both original and shared content. So you should create your own pins and link those back to your website, but you should also be sharing pins from other users that are relevant to your brand as well. And there's, a lot of people have different opinions about how much should be shared and how much should be original. I think personally that your original pins have the most value because you can drive traffic to your website and generate brand awareness with that. So I always encourage clients to focus on that. If you have limited time and resources, you want to make sure you're sharing content that provides value to your business. But beyond that, you should also share, other content to give some variety to your page. And if you don't have the time to post original content, you should at least be sharing something. So I think a mix of both is really important. So the next thing is design. What should your pins look like? Research has shown that vertically oriented photos perform better on Pinterest. I think the number was 60%. Vertically oriented photos perform 60% better on Pinterest than horizontal. So that's why all of these pins that you've seen here have been vertical. Pins that include text and are informational also perform better. So if you have a blog post and your title is something catchy like 5 tips for your fall vacation on the Crystal Coast, that would be a great thing to put on top of your pin, like this here. And obviously Pinterest is a visual platform, so it's really important to have high quality images. Make sure they're, of course, large enough that they appear crisp on Pinterest, but they should also be have good color, good saturation, make sure that they are just visually appealing in general. And then warm colors, I'm not sure why, but they found that warm colors in photos tend to perform better on Pinterest also. So, keep that in mind. You don't necessarily have to go out of your way to find yellow photos, but that's just an interesting tip that you could apply to your content. And then the last thing is make sure that your content is kind of timeless, because like I mentioned earlier, Pinterest content lasts for 3 to 6 months. You don't want to post a pin about, about a movie premiere this weekend or about a limited time special for just this week only, because people will find that in 3 months, and if it's no longer relevant, it looks bad and it drives people away. So you just want to make sure your content is something that will last for a few months. And then, so Pinterest is actually a search engine in its own right. It's, people find content by searching for keywords, and your content populates that way. So when you're making your pins and writing your descriptions, you want to make sure that you don't think of that as an afterthought, which I think a lot of people do. Your description is probably your most valuable, the most valuable part of your pin, because it's how users will find you. So you want to make sure your descriptions are, 150 to 300 words, around that size, and you want to make sure you're including as many relevant keywords as possible. So if you're posting about a vacation rental property, you want to include things like the location, include the word vacation rental, and include maybe how many bedrooms the property has. And if you're a real estate company, you'll want to include the location definitely, and maybe the price range, or more information that your users are going to be searching for. And then of course include a URL. I think Pinterest requires that anyway, but always link back to your website when it's appropriate. And then the last thing is you can mention other brands or people if it's relevant, and that just increases the reach of your pins. I get a lot of questions about hashtags and where they're appropriate. And hashtags are certainly appropriate on Instagram and Twitter, but Pinterest isn't the place. Pinterest actually will, they've said that they might even demote the value of your pin if you oversaturate your Pinterest descriptions with too many hashtags. Hashtags don't make your pins more searchable. Just simply including the word in your description is enough. So adding the hashtag just clutters up your description, and it doesn't add any value. And it can actually take your users away from your content, because if they click on that hashtag, it will redirect them to another page to search the pins that match with that hashtag. So I always recommend just don't use the hashtag on Pinterest. The place for that is Instagram or Twitter. And then you want to be strategic about when you're posting on Pinterest too. Every social media platform has a unique time that is when those posts perform best. So for Pinterest, that time is between 8 and 11 p.m. and especially not during the work hours. So between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. pins perform much worse, and that's understandable. I personally don't search for pins on during the workday, and I don't think most people do that because it's a really immersive experience. So it's distracting, and people don't tend to do that during the workday.
It's usually when you're like relaxing for the night, you just kind of want to take your brain somewhere else and explore other places and stuff.
Right. So keep that in mind when you're pinning. And Pinterest actually conducted a really interesting study about what types of content perform best on which days of the week. And they found that travel content performs best on Saturdays. And you can always use that to post your content on a Saturday to see if you get the most engagement. But also keep in mind, a lot of the content you're posting it's overlapping with these other categories like food or quotes or outfits, because all of those things are also related to travel. So, make sure you're posting every day of the week, but Saturday is a great day to post.
And you can use platforms to schedule.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wanted to talk about that. So we use Buffer here to schedule pins. You can't schedule pins ahead of time on Pinterest itself, but there are other platforms that you can use to schedule content for in the future. So keep that in mind. And we have Buffer, but there are a lot of other options too. So those were kind of the basics. I wanted to talk about, what you can do to bring your pins to the next level and get more value out of your Pinterest presence. The first thing is, if you have a lot of really great photo content on your website, one thing you can do is use the Pin It button, which is a module that you can add to your website, which we've done for a few clients like VIP. And it basically creates a button on all of your images. So when users hover over that image, they can see the Pin It button, click it, and then share that photo right from your website. So it's a great way to generate more traffic to your website from your users. And then Pinterest also has 3 different types of special pins that you can use. There's rich pins, shoppable pins, and promoted pins. Rich pins are things like when you see recipes and the recipe is included in the description, and you can see that button that says something like make it, and then you click out to view that recipe. That's a rich pin. Shoppable pins are used by e-commerce websites, mostly like Amazon and different fashion retailers will use shoppable pins, and that's what's listed on the bottom of the page here. So if you do have an e-commerce, physical hard goods kind of business, that would be a good option. And then what we encourage our clients to do more is promoted pins, which are really similar to, Facebook boosted posts or sponsored posts, which you've probably all used before. So you can take a pin that you've already made and then put a little bit of budget behind it and target a specific demographic to see that pin. So that's a really simple way to dip your toes in the water of getting more out of Pinterest.
So I just want to mention that we're at the 30-minute mark. If you have to hop off, we totally understand. We're going to send the recording after. So if you have somewhere to be, otherwise we'll keep going for a couple more minutes. And we did have a couple really good questions.
Sure.
One was, once you have a pin up, can you delete it? after 3 to 6, can you delete it so that it doesn't continue popping up if it's something that's relevant or timely?
That's a good question. You can delete them. There's always that option. If it's something with a really small lifespan, or if it's, for example, a property that is for sale that is sold, you might want to delete that. But if it's something about fall or with a longer lifespan, you can always leave it up because it will stop displaying in the news feed after about 3 to 6 months. So it kind of depends on the situation, but there is always the option to delete it.
And even if it stops displaying in the news feed, if someone searches that topic, will they still see it?
Yeah, those are kind of interchangeable. So
okay.
They won't display every single search result, and especially not in chronological order when you search keywords. So it works the same way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then we had another great question that's when you're creating pins from content on your own site, do you have any best practices for that? Like an example that popped up when I saw this is when you create a blog post, how do you put that into a great pin?
That's a good question. I should have created a slide about that. Well, you can always use Photoshop. That's kind of what we use here, but there are other really cool tools like Canva where you can create a really quick image like that. The simplest way to do it is, find a couple really great images and take your blog post title and put that on top of your image. So using Canva, you can import your image and then create text with lots of different font options and type the title on top.
Yeah, Canva is a great tool. I'm not very well versed in design, and I can even use it. So, so it's a great tool if you need something to help create pins.
It's super user friendly, and you don't have to have any design experience, and it's free. So if you ever want to use that, it's canva.com.
And it gives you options to do like your Facebook header, like things on Twitter. Like it gives all kinds of options for different dimensions on all kinds of the social media platforms and even in emails and stuff like that. So there's a lot of nice things on there to use.
Yeah, and actually there's even an infographic option. So if you wanted to create an infographic, it has a template and you can change the colors and make it fit your branding. So you should definitely check out Canva.
And even to use it vice versa for your blog, it's a great tool to also use for content on your blog. You can, like the top 10 things to do, I feel like I always see clients do. So check out Canva, it's great.
We should be paid by Canva.
I know, right?
So I wanted to talk about different targeting options for promoted pins quickly. They are pretty similar to Facebook, so if you've played around with Facebook advertising, you might find these familiar. So you can target custom audiences of your own current leads using either an email list, or you can also target your website visitors using a pixel similar to Facebook. So if you have really segmented email lists, those can be really useful. So for example, if you saw on the Emerald Isle case study slide, we had a pin about pet-friendly vacation rentals. So if you had a pin like that, you could take your list of pet-friendly homeowner, or your list of users who book pet-friendly vacation homes, and you could target that list using that pin. So there are lots of different creative ways you can use your custom audiences to target on Pinterest. And then, of course, Pinterest has demographic targeting, so you can target based on people who are interested in budget travel, beach travel, mountain travel, or interested in real estate, interested in buying a new home, things like that. There are lots of different options that you can search on Pinterest. And then the most important targeting demographic, I think, is the search terms. So you can target based on who is searching for what word. So if you are a vacation rental company in Florida, you could use words like Florida or family vacation, vacation rental, things like that. If you're a real estate company, you could type words like real estate or for sale, things like that people might be searching for to find your kind of content. And then the last few options are you can target by location. So if you know where your target demographic lives, if you're located on the East Coast and most of your clients are from the East Coast, or if you are in Hawaii and all of your clients are in the, on our stateside, you can target based on that too. So that's one option. And then you can target by device type, which isn't necessarily as helpful, but it's an option. So the last thing is I wanted to talk about some different Pinterest resources that you can use if you want to learn more and you want to try a few of these things that I mentioned. There is a browser extension for Pinterest that you can get for Chrome and I believe the other browsers as well. And that allows you to pin from any website while you're browsing on the internet. So I have that on my computer so that I can pin from any given website for clients. And it's really easy and free to download. So that's one option. And then Pinterest has two really great resources for their users. There's Pinterest Business, which has lots of great guides and they have a lot of different training tools to help you understand how Pinterest works. And they have a really great blog also. And that's where a lot of those things like the study on which days of the week people pin what type of content, they post that kind of stuff on their blog. So it's interesting and informative. And then two different resources I pay attention to for social media in general is Social Media Examiner is I guess I'd call it a blog. They also have an email newsletter and things like that. And they keep you up to date on industry news. And then Social Times is another great resource, and that's produced by Adweek. So those are some things you can keep in mind if you want to learn more. And then I, of course, want to talk about the social media packages that Blue Tent offers. We can talk all day about all the different ways to utilize Pinterest, but of course it takes time and it takes a lot of energy and information to stay up to date on what's happening and how what the new ad formats are, what the best targeting is. It takes a lot of strategy and a lot of time. So we're always happy to work with clients to take that work off of your plate and put our years of experience to work for you so that we can make the most out of your social media presence. So a few of our different social media packages are, if you are just getting started and you don't currently have a presence on Pinterest or any social media platform, we have different retainers for getting set up. There's, of course, the account setup, and then we have 2 levels of different assessments. So if you want to look at, how is your Pinterest page performing and how are you doing? How can you improve? We can do a social media quick check or a social media assessment to take a look at those things. And that's how we typically start with a lot of clients, just so that we can get on the same page and understand your business.
And all of those packages I just wanted to mention, they're great for if you have a marketing director on your team who just has so much going on and they really could use a refresh on their social, kind of a look into how they've been performing in the past on social. Those are great. And they're also great if you don't have someone dedicated to social, just to be able to take a look and help you get started. So either way, starter package, or if you're pretty ingrained in social, it's great to have someone double check your work and see how you're performing.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of our clients do have a marketing or social media professional on their team that we collaborate with. So that's one way that we can work. Or if you don't, we can always be that person for you and be part of your team as that resource. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there are different ways to go about it. And then the monthly packages that we offer, we have a few different levels based on, what your needs are, if you do have a resource on your team or not. And you can find more information about that here, or if you want more information about the specific deliverables, you can always reach out and we'll give you a breakdown of exactly what that includes.
And I just wanted to mention also that Reagan's really exceptional at managing social media in general, but finding the platforms that fit your audience best. So this was about Pinterest, but these social media packages are related to all of your social channels. And she'll help you figure out the appropriate allocation of budget and resources to each one and how to diversify your presence.
So these are just our social advertising packages, which sometimes we roll into one package, or we can also split them split them up for clarity as well. And it's the same kind of breakdown. There's the quick check and then 2 different levels of setups. And then we can do, if you're not ready to commit to a monthly engagement, there's also the option to do retainers, which we call prepaid production plans here. And I'm sure you're all familiar with that if you're current clients. So that's also an option for social media, and that's a good way to kind of get started and see what this is all about.
And retainer, sorry, one more thing, but we're getting into winter, and I know a lot of people are busy in the winter months if you're in the mountains or gearing up for a busy spring. So the retainers are great to have in your pocket in case you just get swamped and you're not able to tackle social. So it's great to just have those kind of a little bit on call.
Right, and they don't expire, so you can always use them whenever you need the time. So that's all I wanted to cover. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to send them in now and I'll keep answering. Or you can always reach out to me via email or give me a phone call. And of course, we would love it if you connect with us online on our social media platforms. So just reach out if you have any questions or if you're curious about anything else.
Nice. Thanks, Reagan. That was really awesome. And thank you all so much for joining us today. And watch out for, we're going to send an email follow-up here soon, and it'll include the video recording and along with a survey. So if you want to, give us any suggestions of what you want to see next time on our webinar series, please let us know and give us any other feedback. So thanks again, and we hope you guys have a really great afternoon.
Yeah, thanks.